So this video is just, it might be short or long. I haven't really decided just yet, but I got a couple of videos of just kind of editing and talking a little bit. This first set of videos, I think, or this first set of photos were shot at XH2S. My buddy's XH2S. If not, it was XH1. If you haven't heard from my other video, which probably only like 3 people did, but my XT3 got destroyed, and I was pretty sad about that. I was super upset that it got destroyed. I do a lot of weddings, and I never leave my tripod. I never leave my tripod unattended. And at this wedding, there was a kid that ran by, destroyed the XT3 because he hit the tripod, and so a couple of people were like, "Oh, the venue has, should cover that." And then somebody else said, "Oh, in my contracts, I have that the couple pays for any damages," which is true. I would definitely 100% have that. But I was a second shooter for somebody, um, and they required me to have my own insurance. So this is just a little bit of a rant about a couple things. I'm just telling you this because that's what's going on here. And I made a decision that if the insurance comes back, I will probably buy an XT3, because I was watching a video. I think it was Omar, if you don't know him already, and he was talking about, do you really need the XH5? And that brought up a really good question. Do you really, do I need to upgrade it? I like the idea, and somebody else made a comment about how the XH2S would be a future proof. And I really wish, when I first started getting into Fuji, that's why I bought Fuji. I really wish the Kaizen thing was true, but now they have to try to make money because nobody's buying cameras anymore because these smartphones are putting everybody out of business. And I went to one wedding to help out for a videographer. I was just there as a videographer, and all the cell phones were out. And I remember Tony and Chelsea, Peter, I don't remember who. There were a few other YouTubers that were like, not they were acting, right? They're like, "Oh my god, we're upset that these weddings are getting taken over." And I used to be on Clubhouse, and people have in their contract that grandma, grandpa, or aunt and uncle can't have their cell phones out at the wedding, and that they have the right to tell them. So I was like, come on, we have to go with the future. It's changing, and there's a lot of weddings, like I said in one of my other videos, that just don't have wedding photographers. There was one girl, I remember, I was a videographer at a wedding. This is 5-6 years ago. She had those Insta cameras, not the Insta camera, but the Kodak film camera ones. And she gave everybody in the seat one of those cameras that was there. And they actually had to go buy a few more. And everybody was told, take as many pictures as you want from the wedding. And I thought it was funny. It was cute. It was a good idea. Scary at the time because I was like, oh my god, these people are finding inventive ways to replace us. But there's a place and time for wedding photographers, and I think somebody did put it best. You can't always get the um, you're there. One of the other people that made a comment was, you're there to get that moment, because that moment can't be, you can't get it back. And that's usually what I like about wedding photography. Now, obviously, this is a model here, and I'm running long here on this video. I wanted to make it short, but it looks like I'm gonna make it long. But I like taking pictures. I really like it. I enjoy it, and slowly but surely it'll probably be a dying art. I was watching this guy. I don't know his name. He was on YouTube, Daniel, I think, or maybe he has a podcast. I can't really remember what it was. And he was telling people, stop faking and trying to be other people. And I have been trying to make YouTube videos for a long time, and just really haven't been able to find my place in trying to make one. And I don't know. He started off with like 50 people or 20 people. I can't remember what it was. And now he's in the thousands. And he got there pretty quick, but obviously the pandemic, people were just doing stuff. And I made a few videos here and there just to see, how it was. And my computer at the time was super slow. And I always wanted to try to figure out which way to go, right? Is this going to be a gear review? But I don't buy enough gear. I just stick with my stuff. I just talk about like the day-to-day life of a wedding photographer because I don't really see that too much. There's like one or two people that talk about it. How do I want to proceed? And now that the wedding season's come to an end, and I'm pretty much done with weddings so far. It's right now. I mean, you might be watching this 10 years from now, and I might be long gone. But it's November. Obviously, the published date. So it's Thanksgiving's passed by, and winter break, Christmas, whatever you want to call it, is coming up. And so I think I have 2 weddings, and I'm a second shooter in one of them, and the other one's mine. And then I have a few bookings coming February, March area. So engagement sessions coming up, and I don't know. Sometimes I'm lost. I don't know what to do anymore because the weddings aren't coming thin. It's just people are on budgets. And like I said in one of my other videos, this is a luxury. I do want to talk about one small thing because I was talking to 2 of my friends on like real people, right? not the chats, but real people. And we talked about like what camera I was going to get. And he was like, hey man, you're a business guy. It's a ploy. It's a marketing ploy. And in those marketing ploys, they get you, they find ways to make you want to buy it all flashy. And all these YouTube videos are coming out with all these people talking about all the great stuff and blah, blah, blah. And I've gotten used to the X-T3 and the autofocus. If I can find a really good deal on a used X-T4, I might do that. But X-T3s are going for $900 used. And so I kind of want to find a mint X-T3. I know that's hard because I believe 100% that cameras are tools, and my cameras were beat up. I would never sell this to anybody outright. I just give it to a store if I want to trade it in or something. But but they're tools. I use them up. I mean, I like the Fuji until it starts getting dark, and then I start using Sony because it has good autofocus. And I don't remember who it was, but I was talking to a buddy of mine that he watched a YouTube video, but he was talking about it too, about the 7R, the new one that came out with that gorgeous screen. And he was looking at trying to get it, and he goes, I just can't afford it right now. I can't do it. Weddings have been slim, paying for himself and his food is kind of what he wants to do. And so he kind of convinced himself not to get it. I mean, it's a beautiful camera. It's great. And I think the main thing to think about is to really, I would say, think about the glass, right? I have a 7200 I think it's 2.8 and a 7200 4.0. And when I'm a second shooter, depending on the photographer, and I'm going to get to that story about that photographer, girl or guy. I don't know if you were paying attention or not in there, but I'll talk about that one. But I usually are far back, and I don't like being too close to the couples if I'm a second shooter. And I've been at 4 or 5 weddings recently as a second shooter with different photographers, not the same ones. And they're all like all up on top of the bride and groom. And I'm like, I feel like it's distracting. It's their moment. I kind of want to just blend into the background and be gone. But I've seen 2 photographers just on top of it, on top of the bride and groom taking pictures. And when the rings are being put out, they're right behind them taking pictures. And I don't know. But anyway, going back to the story, if you haven't watched, that's fine. It's whatever. I'll do a small recap. I was a second shooter for a photographer. We didn't sign a contract. Always sign a contract. Every time. Sign a contract, guys. Always sign one. And we had come to the end of the night. I said, hey, I $50 an hour. And this photographer goes, I usually do $25 to $35. And I was like, my minimum is 50 to 65 as a second shooter. And I go, this is an emergency too. You called at last minute, 65. So anyway, fast forward a few days, and the photographer sent me a Venmo or a message saying, "Hey, can I get your Venmo?" I gave him my Venmo. They said, "Can I get your PayPal?" I said, "I don't really like using PayPal because they charge too much of a fee. If you're gonna be paying me $25 an hour, like I'm not gonna get anything out of it. I don't want you to do that." And then they sent me, then they asked me what I don't remember what the other one was, Cash App or something like that. I sent them that information, and then an email or a message came up said, "Hey, Venmo got paid $150." I was like, "Oh, cool." Did 3 hours of work, got $50 an hour. I'm happy. Put that to some SSD cards because my SSD, that's another story for another day, but I think it's pretty much full. I had one that stopped working, so I got to go figure out how to fix that up. But I sit here and I like doing second shooter because I don't have to worry about editing or anything. And I like to try to keep the photos myself. And I was very angry at the time. I was like, you know what? I'm going to post those pictures. The person's not going to pay me, whatever. And then I thought about it and I was like, it doesn't matter. Really, truthfully. I'll probably post them up on my website as far as like the details are concerned, and probably throw a small video with a montage of different stuff from the wedding and just talk about the lenses I used, because I used a Tamron. One of the guys had there. He had a Tamron 2 to 2.8. I can't remember the length, but it's one of the newer ones, and I really liked it. I want to kind of talk about that Tamron, and but I don't have any of those photos from the Tamron shoot because it was on my Sony, and I think I only used one card for her. I gave her both cards. I can't remember exactly, but I can't find them, so I have to go back and look. But on the Fuji, I don't, because I lost the 50 to 140. All I had was my 16 mil, 35, and 55 or 50. So the 50 is almost like a 90, if you really think about it, the reach. But it really worked out really well. So that was kind of the end result. I got paid. I'm probably, if that person ever asks for a second shooter, I probably never will help them unless I need money. Unless I'm really dying. But I'll never help them out. I think that was ridiculous, kind of what I went through. And that's about it for right now. I don't really know what else to talk about. I want to thank you for listening. Hope you have a great day, evening, break, and I'll see you on the other side.